Hi, another video for today. Uh, Another script, man. Let's go for it. Today's script is about an opinion or about creativity. So here's what I wrote. Creativity is having an opinion that that's objective enough to create a subjective response. How's that for playing on words? Creativity is having an opinion that's objective enough to create a subjective response. So so let's isolate this. Uh, I'm a firm believer that we need to have opinions, and I made a couple of videos on that. The purpose of an opinion is to create a distance between you and your thoughts. Let's use this approach. So once you have an opinion, it can go one of both ways. The opinion could die, or it can no. The opinion could would always be there. It can't die. So it either evolves by dying and then a new opinion replaces it, or it mutates into a judgment. How's that? Because let's just say a bottle of water, I have an opinion on its shape. If my opinion is to evolve, then let's say I like the shape. Like the shape is the opinion. That's one thing. And that's the statement. That's the statement that explains the opinion. And so I like this bottle of water. And then effectively I'm going to be like, what do I like about it? And that kills the I like the bottle of water, and it kind of goes to I like its shapes or its form or its design. And then maybe I like its design because it fits with the colors. That's basically an evolution of an opinion. And an opinion can evolve when more information is actually accessed or when more time is spent with this opinion. And again, it's the objective part, right? Because like I'm looking at something and I'm not involving myself in it. Because if I'm involving myself in this bottle of water, I can start feeling stuff which don't really make sense when it comes to an opinion. But so, my opinion on this bottle of water is I like it. So automatically, every other bottle of water, I'm going to compare it to this one, which allows my opinion to mutate into a judgment to other. Like, I like this bottle of water. So I either find another bottle of water, which I like more, and I don't consider. I don't consider why, and I don't kind of like think about why I like that one more. Or I like this one better. So automatically that one is going in the other direction. It's not the positive direction, which effectively allows me to just kind of like because I have an opinion on this one, suddenly I have a judgment on that one. Or at the very least, that judgment is gonna start being built on on the other bottles of water that exist. So that having an opinion could evolve into like newer opinions by the same opinion dying, like new information. Like literally would look more. The more I look in this bottle of water, the more I see details, the more I see stuff. Can't be helped. That's how our brain operates. And it's my goal to be like, I still like it. That means I haven't used these details in order to kind of like refine how my opinion is projecting itself. So effectively, I'm still kind of like in that space. Whilst the more I look at it, I could actually like refine my opinion and allow it to evolve. And then I actually would not necessarily my opinion is no longer about the bottle of water. My opinion is about how the bottle of water was combined, how it was built, uh, the different aspects of design that kind of like go inside of it in order for it to become considered like a nice bottle of water or the branding behind it. Like there's a whole lot of aspects that your opinion expands into. That's evolution. Well, on the other hand, if your opinion doesn't evolve, you kind of stick to it and it becomes a judgment. It becomes a way you see the world. It becomes a statement of how you see the world, actually. That's mostly what a judgment is. A statement of how you see the world, correct? Or like have a conversation about this, but fuck this shit. We're sticking to this. So creativity is basically the evolution of an opinion, naturally, the way I see it. Because what you're doing is you're taking this opinion that's objective. And the more objective the opinion is, that means information, new information, is going to change it, affect it, and allow it to evolve. And it's objective enough, that's the opinion. Your goal is to separate yourself from that kind of the statement that explains your opinion. I'm saying the statement that explains your opinion because you're not making any statement, you have an opinion that comes out in the form of a statement. And that has to keep changing because you have to question it. You're either questioning why you like it, or you're questioning what about it you like, or you're questioning what what about you that made you start looking at it in the first place, that made you realize that you like it. All that stuff are really about the objectivity and the distance you create between yourself and that statement. It's not a statement that defines you. Once it becomes that way, that means you're projecting a judgment. So the more distance you have, the more objective your opinion is, the more you create a subjective response to it. Because the subjective response is basically the personal interaction that you have with whatever it is you're looking at that's giving you an opinion. So the minute you're looking at it objectively, what effectively you're doing, that distance is creating that relationship, and that relationship could be described as the subjective response because it's coming from you. That's the relationship that you have with your view on that opinion, on that statement. And I believe that's where what creativity is. Because what we're doing is we're looking at something and then basically taking a step back. By taking a step back, we're noticing how we're relating to it, the subjective response that we're having with it, which effectively points at something in us that allows us to look differently and gather new information on whatever it is that we have an opinion on, which automatically changes the opinion and continues to, and that contributes to the subjective response that we're having towards that change. And effectively, the three side fuck man, I love it, man, because I think everything right now is literally about that trilogy. Everything is literally about like where you are, what's looking at what, who is looking at what is being looked at, and the relationship that this observation is creating. So that's the life that's being created, right? And again, like let's not use life. Let's use like these interactions are creating energy. And suddenly you're looking at yourself just because you kind of like took 10, 20 minutes looking at a bottle. And every time you notice something new, that's you forming a different opinion on it. So you're completely just like looking at the bottle, noticing the curves, suddenly noticing the design, noticing the information, noticing the water and how it looks in it, noticing the size, noticing like all of these things. And when you're no longer with the bottle, you're probably going to start thinking about the process where that brought it here. You're probably going to think about the history of the actual company that created it. It's just like everything. If you're looking at a tree, it's the same way. It's like where did it come from? How did it come here? The seeds that came here, why the branches are this way, not that way, why the leaves are this way and that way. And that is where you kind of like are establishing that baseline that allows creativity to just kind of like flow out of you. And I really want you to imagine like if you were to apply that, like just like there's a thing here, I'm gonna have a random opinion on it. Fucking light bulb over there. Not light bulb, click, light bulb click, whatever. It's light bulb switch. So I'm looking at the switch and I go like, oh fuck yeah, a switch. All right, so what's a switch? It's an on-off. Okay, so the first thing I think about is electricity, and suddenly like, no, it's just a normal light switch. But what effectively I'm doing is generating energy around my interaction with it, which this, based on what I wrote, is what I would call creativity. Because establishing this relationship over and over again and going over it over and over again is kind of like fueling a certain experience within you that intuitively allows you to see beyond. So I imagine I'm looking at a light bulb right now and I kind of like noticed many things just because I looked at it and I was like, I'm gonna have an opinion on it. And the more I do this with the world, instead of just going like, oh, light bulb, and just like leave it, right? As I actually produce more and more of these opinions that I kind of like interact with and I change them and they evolve, what I'm effectively doing is building that pattern. And that's when creativity, especially like when people are discussing creativity, when people are discussing creativity, they discuss like the work that you do and the time that you spend not working, specifically just looking at things in order for you to get inspiration. And that inspiration, it could happen naturally if you're having obsessive compulsive disorder, right? You kind of look at everything intensely, but it's also a skill that you develop as you kind of like look at things, you wonder stuff and you imagine stuff, and then you let them go. Because if you don't let them go, they're judgments, right? If the opinion evolves, then it kind of keeps moving in a different direction. But if you hold on to it, then it becomes a judgment, and eventually your creativity is basically from the ground up built as your own in your own style as the skill set that you would use and apply on anything. So here we go. Creativity is having an opinion that's objective enough to create a subjective response. Look at that. It's a video.